I'm Vivek Behl, I'm the co-founder for Esports GB, but my background is quite different. So I used to be an educator. I used to be a teacher at a secondary school in West London. I'm born and brought up in West London. Hounslow, for anyone around here, that's where I'm born and brought up. I have moved to Windsor, so I haven't left the hood completely. I'm just down the road. However, at the same time, what I have done since then is I've lectured at universities. I've gone in and talked about data and analytics in particular, digital transformation, how we can move organizations in the right trajectory as well. One of the key things I do now is I work for a large technology firm, and I own, or part own, Esports GB, which I'm hoping is going to come out in a moment. You could just see our logo on the screen from an email from one of my colleagues over here. But hopefully it should be there. But what I do, or what we do as an organization, is quite simple. We have an ability to bring in all sorts of key players to come into, no matter what their age are, to come into a space, a comfortable space, and play games. That's literally it. We also work very closely with the University of West London. We have been advisors in terms of certain protocols for course development as well. I've worked with the dean over here for a few years, and we've now recently brought all our equipment into this university. So University of West London, you might be surprised, is the largest esports facility based on the amount of computers they have that do esports. That's a new fact, but it's just been released. Based on all the equipment we've just brought in, it's quite nice, to say the least. And following these gentlemen here, it's quite an honor, because they're known in the industry, these guys are. They're very good at what they've done, and they've achieved a lot in the Wild West, to be fair. And talking about the Wild West, I've come through and really understood esports from the ground up. I was not in esports at all. I played Tekken as a child. I played Street Fighter. Those games were definitely the best for me, in FIFA. Or now it's something else. But I played a lot of those games growing up, and I used to lose quite often, so I was not a gamer just like yourself. And we decided to do something different. The difference isn't that different. It's the same as most organizations that have spoken about it today. And that really is about bringing a career into this space. So when I was a child, I used to play a lot of football. And playing football in West London, and then going into East London and South London, North London, across London, we experienced a lot of racism, okay? So as a child, you'd be walking on the pitch and somebody would shout out some very, very rude words, and you would basically just think that was normal. And when we started doing the games and started bringing in games into fruition, what we were finding initially was there was still a bit of that happening on the background when it wasn't governed properly, when there was no framework, or when you didn't have people monitoring those areas. What we started to do is build our own ecosystem, and we decided to bring in children from the age of 7 to 13 initially in a place that we had just opposite Gunnersbury Park. It was called Esports GB then as well. And then we started to really understand how we should be communicating with that age group and that diversity of individuals. And we started doing something very inclusive and really getting them to own up to how the game should be played as well. And they used a lot of material from these folks actually, quite often, and actually we use these guys as an example with the children about where you can go in the industry. So this slide over here is about the esports ecosystem. This isn't something that we've created as Esports GB. You can see there's a reference at the top there by somebody else. However, when I found this amazing around how, if you go into this course, or if you decide to study esports in any university, I'm going to say University of West London, obviously, but the fact is, if you go into this course and study it, there are so many career paths here. You've got a million things that you could be doing. And I'm going to go into a few of them right now. So in the center of it, you've got video games, right? You can see video games there. On the right, you've got tournaments and leagues. You've got broadcasting and media. The folks here have spoken about this predominantly. But the key thing here is the skills that you can ascertain on the back of this. The skills that you get by understanding this ecosystem is actually bigger than a lot of other industries that I've come from and worked in my career span. And I'm doing relatively well in my career. I'm working in Tekken as an executive. I work in Central London. I travel the world. I go to different places. But this is brilliant. When I saw this and I started to look at this, I went, actually, children getting into this remit early can start to learn so much more. Learn from these gentlemen here as well, and really understand the ecosystem that it brings to you and what careers you can drive forward with this. You can get into media, you can get into journalism, you can do streaming, you can really learn about the fact that how you can perform when you're actually building games. You can go into art, you can go into a million things, operations, finance, legal. This gentleman here, David, talked about the fact that he does everything in his company because esports is so raw, in the UK in particular, that you have to learn so much. And the good thing about this is when you start to do this in the future, because you're learning so many skills in one go, you're actually starting to learn how to grow a business. Actually, going into stuff like GDPR, which you spoke about as well, is really important. Understanding where data actually sits, what data means, and how you can use that information anonymized, and what that means to help grow the industry as well. But the key thing here for me to get across to everybody here is, if you look at this as a degree, if you look at this as an industry, and you look at this as something that can take you forward, no matter your background, no matter what you may have a disability, no matter what your race is, your sexual orientation, it doesn't matter. You come over here, it's open for you. Esports is actually one of the biggest industries I've seen that's open to anyone, and the possibilities on the back of this are endless from what I've seen. And I'm not going to go into too much depth or go into this into vast amounts, but what I will ask is if you can go to the next slide. This is what we've just done recently. So I've got Ryan sat in the front over here, young gentleman, if you put your hand up. He's actually managing this place in South Kensington. It's called Nexus. It's a private members club. We've developed that entire ecosystem there. And one of the remits about Esports GB is we go in and actually help build out these types of spaces. We actually help devise and develop them according to your needs. But more importantly, we understand how we can bring in that inclusivity into the nature of what you're trying to build at the same time. How to build those little ecosystems and really get people to understand how to communicate with each other as well. And one of the biggest things that I found about Nexus at the moment is that it's a lot of children coming through with their parents. And you would find that a lot of the parents are staying and playing more than the children are, which is amazing because it's a little bit nostalgic, but more importantly, it's actually getting them to be on the same mind frame as their child. So they're going in there and really understanding that I can connect with my child, that child can connect with their parent, and they've got something in common that they can do, and they can start playing these games quite well and really understanding what it means. So the other part of what we do at Esports GB is consulting. We go out, we help universities like University of West London, primary schools, secondary schools, and even children's centres, where we actually go in and actually help devise the narrative around esports and actually help them build the ecosystem around this. But my business partner's not here today. He's a doctor, and actually whenever he speaks on stage, everyone remembers him more because he's just one of those characters that brings across a lot of panache when he speaks. But one of the things he does is he's a medical doctor on Harley Street. But he came from the kind of A&E world, and he came from that medical practitioner world where he sees a lot more opportunity in this industry from a nutrition perspective as well. So we don't just think about this as, okay, we can sit down and actually sit on the chair, in a comfy chair, and actually start thinking about how to play games. It's more to it. This is like a profession, like a professional sport. You have to really take care of yourself. You really have to understand how to take care of that brain and your body at the same time. And what he's done and what we are doing, especially with Nexus right now, is we're coaching individuals holistically, not just in the game. And the games alone are hard. They're absolutely difficult. And when you start getting down that remit and understanding how to play them, there's a lot more to it. But the physicality and the diet that sits with it is so important. And it's prominent in what success you can kind of fathom down the long term. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but it's an honor to kind of follow these folks over here who've done really well in this industry for a long time. We are new to the game. We've been in it for 2 years. We are still learning, and I think we're going to continue to learn, and I hope we do continue to learn down the line as well. But thank you very much.